What if everything known about history is just a small part of the bigger picture? For centuries, we've been taught about the rise of ancient civilizations, from the Egyptians to the Sumerians. But what if there was something even older? Something that was lost to time and buried beneath the sands of history? The idea that humanity may not be the first civilization on Earth is not as wild as it sounds. In fact, evidence from mysterious ruins, lost cities beneath the ocean, and ancient technologies suggests that there may have been civilizations far older and far more advanced than we realize. From monuments that should not exist to machines far ahead of their time, the clues are all around us, waiting to be uncovered. Let's take a journey through history's forgotten pages, piece by piece, as we unravel the mystery of humanity's hidden past. Stay curious. The answers might just surprise everyone. Wherever you're tuning in from, feel free to drop a comment. It's always nice to hear from you. If you'd like to hear more stories like these, subscribing is a great way to stay connected. Get cozy. It's time to let your mind wander, whether you're winding down to sleep or simply enjoying the calm. It's truly great having you here. The Sumerians, the Egyptians, the Mayans. They are often credited as the first true civilizations, their cities rising out of the dust to become the cornerstones of human history. But what if the story we've been told about the rise of civilization is incomplete? What if these ancient cultures were not the first to harness the power of writing, architecture, or science? What if long before these great societies, there was a civilization so advanced that it left behind only fragments, lost to time, buried beneath layers of earth, or swallowed by the oceans? The idea that there might have been a civilization predating all known records isn't as far-fetched as it sounds. Take Gobekli Tepe, for example. This archaeological site in Turkey is over 11,000 years old, predating Stonehenge and the Great Pyramids by millennia. It's a massive complex of stone pillars, some weighing up to 10 tons, intricately carved with animals and symbols. But what's truly baffling is that it was built by people who had no written language and were not even settled in permanent homes. How did these ancient people, living in a time before agriculture, manage to build something so monumental? Gobekli Tepe isn't just a mystery, it's a clue. One that suggests there was a sophisticated culture with knowledge that might have been passed down from an even earlier civilization. Then there's the Antikythera Mechanism, an ancient device found in a shipwreck off the coast of Greece, dating back to 100 BCE. It's essentially an ancient analog computer, used to predict astronomical positions with incredible accuracy. The technology it represents wasn't seen again until the 14th century in Europe. How did the ancient Greeks, with their rudimentary tools, manage to construct such a precise and complex machine? It's evidence of a technological understanding that might have been inherited from a lost civilization, one whose knowledge of mechanics and astronomy far outstripped our expectations for the time. And then we come to the idea of submerged cities, like Dwarka, off the coast of India, which has been submerged for thousands of years. Descriptions of Dwarka in ancient texts tell of a majestic city that was the seat of Lord Krishna, one of the most revered figures in Hinduism. Archaeologists have found stone ruins beneath the waves off the coast of Gujarat, and they match the ancient descriptions of the city. How could a city, described as a thriving metropolis, be lost to the sea, only to be rediscovered long after the event? Was Dwarka part of a larger network of advanced civilizations that flourished before recorded history? These aren't just isolated examples. They represent a growing body of evidence that suggests humanity's true. History's far more complicated and mysterious than we thought. There could have been civilizations, advanced in ways we still struggle to comprehend, that existed long before the Sumerians and Egyptians. The timeline of human civilization is far more ancient, more intricate, and perhaps far more dynamic than we've ever been led to believe. As we continue to peel back the layers of history, each new discovery suggests that the story of human progress didn't just begin with the rise of cities and writing. It may have started much earlier, with a civilization we've forgotten, buried by time, catastrophic events, or simply lost to the pages of history. This journey into the forgotten past is just the beginning, and the clues we're uncovering could reshape everything we think we know about the origins of humanity. Gobekli Tepe is not just the world's oldest known temple. It is a living enigma that rewrites everything we thought we knew about the dawn of civilization. This ancient site in southern Turkey is believed to be over 11,000 years old, making it thousands of years older than Stonehenge and the Great Pyramids of Giza. When Gobekli Tepe was built, humans had yet to settle down, domesticate animals, or even discover the concept of agriculture. Instead, these people were supposed to be wandering nomadic hunter-gatherers, living in temporary shelters. But here's the thing. How do nomads build something so monumental, intricate, and sophisticated? How do people with no permanent settlements, no agriculture, and no writing systems create a structure so advanced that it would take modern scholars years just to begin understanding its purpose? As archaeologists uncovered this site, they discovered massive stone pillars, some weighing up to 10 tons each, arranged in a circular pattern. The stones are covered in intricate carvings of animals, such as snakes, lions, wild boars, and birds. But it's not just the carvings that are baffling. It's the sheer size and complexity of the site. The pillars are arranged with a remarkable precision, aligned with celestial events. And yet, these people, who had no written language, no permanent structures, and no complex tools, managed to create something that rivals some of the greatest monuments of later civilizations. How did these early humans, living in a world without permanent settlements or advanced engineering techniques, manage to build a site that required such advanced knowledge of construction, geometry, and even astronomy? Gobekli Tepe is not just a temple. It seems to be a symbol of something much larger, a knowledge far beyond what historians have given these people credit for. Let's think about it. Why would these early people, who didn't even have the benefit of farming or permanent settlements, build something so grand? And it's not just the physical structures that raise questions. Gobekli Tepe sits atop a hill, carefully placed in an area that offers the perfect view of the sky. Astronomical alignments at Gobekli Tepe suggest these early builders had a profound understanding of the stars, the moon, and possibly even the solstices. How could these people, who should have been preoccupied with the basic needs of survival, create something with such cosmic precision? It's not just a question of how they built it. The purpose of Gobekli Tepe is just as mysterious. There's evidence that suggests the site wasn't just used for rituals. It could have been a kind of astronomical observatory, or even a calendar for marking the seasons or predicting astronomical events. Imagine, 11,000 years ago, these people were studying the sky with such clarity and foresight that they could craft stone monuments that aligned perfectly with the stars. This wasn't just a random gathering of stones. This was a purposeful, planned endeavor that required advanced knowledge of both earthly craftsmanship and celestial movements. What makes Gobekli Tepe even more perplexing is that after it was built, it was deliberately buried. This wasn't a site that simply fell into ruin over time. The ancient people who built it intentionally buried it, covering the pillars and carvings with soil and stone, as if they wanted to hide it from the world. But why? Was it because the knowledge contained at Gobekli Tepe was too powerful, or perhaps even too dangerous? Was this an effort to preserve the site for future generations? Or was it an attempt to erase the knowledge it contained from history? As modern archaeologists study Gobekli Tepe, they realize that this site doesn't just challenge the timeline of civilization. It redefines it. The site was built at a time when humans were supposed to be in their infancy, still learning to adapt to their environment. Yet here is a site that suggests advanced social organization, the ability to work together on a massive scale, and a level of technological sophistication that historians had previously thought impossible for the people of this era. This raises a compelling question. Could these early humans have inherited knowledge from an even older civilization, a civilization whose legacy was lost to time, buried beneath the sands of history, or perhaps erased by a global catastrophe. Here lies the true mystery of Gobekli Tepe. It could be the remains of a forgotten civilization that existed long before the Sumerians, Egyptians, and other great cultures we know. Could it be that we've been looking in the wrong direction all along, believing that human history began only when we first started to build cities? What if the first civilization had already risen and fallen, leaving only fragments of its legacy scattered throughout the earth? But the mystery doesn't end with Gobekli Tepe. This site is just the beginning of the story. There are other ancient ruins, other strange artifacts, and other unexplained monuments that suggest the timeline of human civilization could stretch back much farther than we've ever imagined. With every discovery, we are forced to ask, what else is out there waiting to be uncovered? How many more lost cities and forgotten technologies are buried beneath layers of soil, waiting for the right explorers to dig them up and reveal their secrets? An ancient analog computer, found off the coast of Greece, dates back to 100 BCE and could predict celestial movements with incredible accuracy. This device, now known as the Antikythera Mechanism, was discovered in a shipwreck near the island of Antikythera in 1901. When researchers first looked at it, they were stunned. It looked like nothing they had ever seen before. A collection of intricate gears and cogs, each precisely engineered to track the movements of the sun, moon, and planets. What was so astonishing was not just the complexity of the device, but its accuracy. This kind of technology was thought to be impossible for ancient civilizations. In fact, we didn't rediscover anything even remotely close to the same level of mechanical precision until the 14th century, almost 1,400 years later. So how did the ancient Greeks, at a time when the wheel was still a relatively new invention, manage to craft a device of such remarkable precision? How could they create something that was not only an astronomical calculator, but one so advanced that it predicted the motion of celestial bodies? Something we did not accomplish again until the modern age. Theories abound, but one thing is clear. This mechanism is more than just a testament to Greek ingenuity. It could be proof of lost knowledge from a much older civilization. Perhaps a civilization that had mastered mechanical engineering to an extent far beyond what we can even imagine today. Consider this. If the Antikythera mechanism was discovered in 1901, and we only now understand the extent of its capabilities, what else could be out there, buried beneath layers of time and history? What if this was just one piece of an ancient puzzle, one that points to an even more technologically advanced civilization, whose achievements were lost when time, wars, and natural disasters wiped away all traces of their existence? Could it be that the mechanism we're looking at is not some anomaly, but rather a remnant of an entire world of lost technology? A technology so far ahead of its time that it was eventually forgotten, leaving behind nothing but a few mysterious relics like this device? The complexity of the Antikythera mechanism suggests that the ancient world had a knowledge of engineering and astronomy that we often attribute only to more modern societies. Some researchers have even suggested that the mechanism might have been part of a technological dark age, where entire civilizations existed that we have no record of, and their knowledge of mechanics, astronomy, and possibly even electricity was simply wiped away. What if? And here's where the mystery deepens. What if the Greeks were not the originators of this knowledge, but rather the inheritors of lost secrets, passed down from an even earlier, forgotten civilization? Now, it is like finding an ancient iPhone that can calculate the positions of the stars, but the only thing we know how to use it for is as a paperweight. Just think about that for a moment. This incredibly advanced piece of technology was sitting at the bottom of the ocean, waiting to be discovered in 1901, only for us to learn how to understand its purpose and functionality almost a century later. It's almost as though we stumbled upon a forgotten piece of history, so advanced that we were unable to comprehend its full significance until much later. The Antikythera mechanism, then, is more than just a tool. It's a symbol of lost knowledge, a beacon that points to a time when civilizations were doing things we didn't even believe possible. What if the Greeks were not the first to possess such knowledge? What if the Antikythera Mechanism is just one of many examples of technological achievements lost to time, buried beneath the ruins of cities that were once teeming with life? There are countless artifacts scattered across the earth. Strange objects, advanced tools, and anomalous artifacts that challenge our understanding of history. And when we find something as intricate and advanced as the Antikythera Mechanism, it makes you wonder, what other mysteries have we yet to uncover? What lost technologies lie hidden, just out of reach, waiting for us to rediscover them? What if we're only scratching the surface of a civilization's achievements, and in doing so, we're rediscovering the echoes of a forgotten past? This mechanism was built by people who lived at a time when most were still living in basic stone homes. It's a glimpse into a lost world, a world that we have yet to fully comprehend. And while it might seem like an isolated example of ancient brilliance, it may very well be part of a much larger story, one where lost civilizations rose, fell, and left behind the faintest traces of their once great knowledge. Each gear, each cog in the Antikythera Mechanism might just be a clue in a greater puzzle. A puzzle that, once solved, might completely change how we view the development of human technology, knowledge, and history itself. Plato's story of Atlantis is one of the most enduring myths in history, a tale of an advanced civilization that existed thousands of years ago, only to be swallowed by the ocean in a single catastrophic event. According to Plato, Atlantis was a powerful and wealthy island civilization located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar. Its cities were magnificent, with grand palaces, beautiful temples, and impressive engineering feats that rivaled anything known in his time. The island was so rich in resources that it was said to possess vast amounts of gold, silver, and orichalcum, a mythical shiny red metal so rare that even its description has fueled mystery for centuries. But despite its greatness, Atlantis was not immune to disaster. Plato's account describes how, in a single night and day of catastrophic earthquakes and floods, the island was sunk beneath the ocean, disappearing forever, leaving no trace behind. For centuries, Atlantis remained nothing more than a story, a metaphor for the rise and fall of civilizations. However, as time has passed and new discoveries have emerged, the legend of Atlantis continues to stir the imagination, and the possibility that it may have been real has become a tantalizing thought for many. What if Atlantis wasn't just a myth? What if it was a real place, an ancient civilization so advanced that its existence was erased by time, leaving only fragments behind in the stories passed down through the ages? What if Plato's account was not just a philosopher's allegory, but rather a record of a real event, an event so catastrophic that it erased an entire civilization from the face of the earth, leaving nothing but vague memories scattered across history? One of the key reasons the idea of Atlantis is so compelling is the striking parallels between Plato's description and other ancient myths. Cultures across the world have legends of great floods, tales of God's wrath, or natural catastrophes that drowned entire civilizations. In the Bible, the story of Noah's Ark speaks of a flood that wiped out all life, except for Noah and his ark. Similarly, the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest stories known to man, tells of a great flood that destroyed the world, with only a man named Utnapishtim surviving by building a boat. The Mayan, Hindu, and Native American cultures all have their own versions of a great flood that wiped out previous civilizations. Could these flood myths all be based on the same historical event? Could the great flood that submerged Atlantis have been a real global catastrophe that affected civilizations around the world? Some scholars believe that a massive tsunami or series of tidal waves could have been triggered by a cataclysmic earthquake or volcanic eruption, which might explain the widespread flood myths and the sudden disappearance of Atlantis. Plato himself mentions that Atlantis was a powerful naval empire, and it's possible that the island was destroyed by a massive tsunami that left no trace of its advanced cities or technology. There's even more to the story of Atlantis that ties it to real-world geography. Plato describes Atlantis as an island with a size so vast that it dwarfed ancient Egypt and Lydia combined. Over time, many have speculated about where Atlantis might have been located. The most widely accepted theory places it in the Mediterranean Sea, but others suggest Antarctica, the Caribbean, or even the Azores as potential locations. Recent research into the Azores, an archipelago in the Atlantic Ocean, reveals underwater structures that resemble man-made formations, perhaps evidence of a lost civilization once existing in that region. The search for Atlantis continues today, with archaeologists, scientists, and historians all offering their theories and interpretations. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Atlantis legend is its sophistication. Plato described the Atlanteans as a people with advanced knowledge of engineering, agriculture, metallurgy, and even medicine. They built massive canals to irrigate their land and to transport goods. Their capital city, Poseidon City, was surrounded by concentric rings of water, giving it a unique and futuristic design. What's even more fascinating is that Atlantis was said to have great power, not just physically, but also spiritually, with its people living in a state of abundance and harmony before corruption and greed led to their downfall. This rise and fall of Atlantis is often likened to the rise and fall of other civilizations throughout history. But how could such an advanced civilization just disappear? Could a global catastrophe, a massive earthquake, a volcanic eruption, or even a comet impact have been the cause of Atlantis' destruction? The idea of a great flood sweeping away an entire civilization is not just confined to the story of Atlantis. Evidence of tsunamis and cataclysmic events that could have submerged coastal cities has been found across the globe. For example, in the Black Sea, researchers have found evidence of a massive rise in sea levels around 7,500 years ago, potentially a result of flooding that could have wiped out entire coastal communities. Perhaps Atlantis wasn't a single island after all, but a network of advanced cities spread across the ancient world, all destroyed in a single moment. Could the remnants of these cities, submerged beneath the waves or buried under centuries of dirt, be waiting for us to uncover them? Could the Pillars of Hercules, which Plato described as marking the boundary of Atlantis, be a real location, now underwater, just waiting to be found? As more evidence of submerged cities and lost civilizations is uncovered, the line between myth and history becomes increasingly blurred. The mystery of Atlantis may be more than just a fairy tale. With every discovery of ancient ruins, unexplained artifacts, and strange underwater structures, the possibility grows that Atlantis was not a fantasy, but a reminder of a world that once existed, only to be lost to time, swallowed by the very forces of nature that shaped the earth itself. Atlantis is more than just a story of a lost civilization. It's a symbol of the fragility of human achievement. The idea that a once great empire, with all its knowledge, wealth, and power, could simply vanish in a single moment is a powerful reminder that no civilization is truly immune from destruction. Yet the fact that this story has survived for thousands of years, passed down through cultures across the globe, suggests that Atlantis may not be entirely gone. Perhaps the lost city is not just a myth. It is a memory, lingering through time, waiting for the right people to discover the truth of its existence. Off the coast of India, submerged beneath the waves of the Arabian Sea, lies the ancient city of Dwarka, a place that has fascinated both historians and myth enthusiasts for centuries. This city, mentioned in the Mahabharata, one of the most revered Hindu texts, is said to be the legendary kingdom of Lord Krishna. According to the texts, Dwarka was not just any city. It was a thriving metropolis, full of grand palaces, temples, and impressive architecture. The city was said to have been so advanced that its citizens could manage complex irrigation systems, practice advanced agriculture, and control vast amounts of wealth and trade. But what happened to this remarkable city? For ages, Dwarka existed only in legend. It was believed that the city vanished beneath the waves after Lord Krishna's death, consumed by a great catastrophe. According to the myth, the waters of the Arabian Sea overwhelmed the city, and it was lost, leaving only traces of its existence in ancient scriptures. But then, something extraordinary happened. In the 1980s, underwater archaeologists began to explore the sea floor near the coastline of Gujarat, where Dwarka was believed to be located, and what they discovered was nothing short of astonishing. They found ruins of an ancient city, stone structures, foundations, and roads that seemed to perfectly align with the descriptions found in Hindu texts. The submerged remains matched the descriptions of Dwarka to an uncanny degree. Could this be the real Dwarka, the actual city that had been described in myth? Or could it be a completely different, yet equally important, civilization lost to time? The evidence found beneath the waves is extraordinary. Underwater footage shows massive stone blocks, some weighing hundreds of tons, arranged in a highly organized pattern. These stones appear to have been shaped and placed in a manner similar to ancient construction techniques, with precise alignments to celestial events. The layout of the ruins shows what appears to be a city grid, much like those found in other ancient cultures, complete with streets, walls, and large open spaces. It's not just a random collection of rocks and rubble. It's clear that these are the remains of a highly sophisticated civilization that had advanced knowledge of engineering, architecture, and water management. One of the most fascinating aspects of these underwater ruins is the precise alignment of the structures with the celestial bodies, something that suggests a deep understanding of astronomy. In fact, the layout of Dwarka's ancient city aligns with the movements of the sun and stars, much like the way ancient cultures, such as the Egyptians, designed their cities and pyramids. Could this suggest that the city of Dwarka wasn't just a hub of economic power, but also a center for astronomical study? The Greeks had their own impressive feats of astronomical understanding, but this kind of precision was not expected in a civilization that existed over 5,000 years ago. The mystery surrounding Dwarka only deepens when we consider the ancient texts that describe the city's grandeur. According to the Mahabharata, Dwarka was an island, surrounded by concentric walls and canals, built to be almost impenetrable to any invader. The texts also describe the city as being immense, with royal palaces and temples decorated with precious jewels and metals. The underwater ruins found in Gujarat seem to fit this description remarkably well, with evidence of walls that resemble the descriptions of concentric rings mentioned in the texts. There's even a mention of the city's broad roads and marketplaces, which are also present in the underwater remains. The striking resemblance between the ancient writings and the discovered ruins raises an important question. Is this a case of myth becoming reality? Or is there more to the story of Dwarka than we can currently comprehend? Adding another layer to the intrigue is the fact that Dwarka was said to be a naval power, a city with an advanced fleet of ships that dominated the seas. If the city really existed in its described form, this would mean that its people had knowledge of advanced shipbuilding and navigation far beyond what we would expect from such an early civilization. The discovery of submerged structures near the city, which look suspiciously like wharves or docks, supports this idea. The possibility of advanced naval technology in an ancient civilization is not just fascinating. It raises the question, did Dwarka possess maritime capabilities that rivaled those of later civilizations? Could Dwarka be the real Atlantis, the lost city Plato described, swallowed by the ocean in a single night of destruction? Could the myth of Atlantis, long believed to be nothing more than a story, have been based on the real-life destruction of Dwarka? The timing of Plato's writings about Atlantis, around 360 BCE, coincides with the legendary accounts of Dwarka being submerged. While the events of Plato's Atlantis are steeped in mythology, The physical evidence of Dwarka could point to a civilization lost to time, its legacy carried forward only in the stories of its destruction. Now, as if the discovery of Dwarka weren't fascinating enough, there's an even deeper layer to this mystery. The ancient texts also speak of a great battle that occurred in Dwarka, where Lord Krishna is said to have fought a decisive battle. It's described that divine weapons were used in this battle, and it's believed that these weapons could have been incredibly destructive, possibly causing a chain reaction that led to the city's destruction. Some scholars have even speculated that these descriptions of divine warfare might be metaphors for advanced technology, perhaps even nuclear-like weapons. Though this may sound far-fetched, the idea that an ancient civilization might have developed technologies that we have only recently rediscovered in the modern age adds an eerie layer of mystery and intrigue to the story of Dwarka. What if Dwarka was more than just an ancient city? What if it was a hub of knowledge and technology, housing secrets that, when lost, were passed down through myths and stories across generations? Could the city's sinking beneath the waves be a real event caused by a massive natural catastrophe, such as an earthquake or tsunami, which led to the sudden submerging of the city and left only fragments of its story to be carried through time? There's no definitive answer to these questions yet, but the evidence is mounting, and with every new discovery, the possibility that Dwarka was not just a myth grows stronger. And if this ancient city was real, then who knows what other cities, buried beneath the ocean or lost beneath the earth, are still waiting to be found? What other pieces of the puzzle are out there, waiting to rewrite the history of human civilization? The Yonaguni Monument, submerged beneath the waves off the coast of Japan, is one of the most fascinating and controversial underwater structures in the world. Discovered in 1985, it immediately caught the attention of scientists, archaeologists, and mystery enthusiasts due to its astonishing resemblance to an ancient pyramid. The site consists of massive stone structures, sharp terraces, staircases, and geometric formations that resemble man-made architecture. Some suggest it's a naturally occurring formation, a bizarre coincidence of geology, while others believe it's the remnant of a lost city, possibly part of an ancient civilization that was swallowed by the sea thousands of years ago. The debate continues today as new research and findings keep fueling the mystery. Could the Yonaguni Monument be the key to understanding the rise and fall of civilizations that we know nothing about? Let's dive deeper into the monument's secrets. When researchers first encountered the Yonaguni Monument, they were struck by its unnatural symmetry and geometric precision. Unlike typical geological formations, the structure has sharp angles, terraces, steps, and what appear to be carved pathways, all of which seem far too deliberate to be natural. Some sections of the monument look strikingly similar to the kinds of pyramids and temples seen in other ancient cultures, particularly those in Egypt, Central America, and Mesopotamia. The monument is composed of large stone blocks that look as though they were placed by human hands, not the result of natural erosion. The discovery instantly raised a compelling question. Could this be a lost city or structure from an ancient civilization submerged by the ocean thousands of years ago? The exact location of the Yonaguni Monument is off the coast of Yonaguni, a small island in the Ryukyu Islands of Japan. This area has long been steeped in mystery, surrounded by local legends of ancient cities and mythical beings. The monument sits at a depth about 25 meters beneath the surface of the water, making it incredibly difficult to study. However, divers and researchers have explored the site and have discovered remarkable features. The most obvious of these is the step-like terraces that seem to ascend toward the ocean floor, much like the terraces of ancient step pyramids. Some even argue that the alignment of the terraces is too precise to be accidental. The most striking feature of the monument is the series of perfectly straight lines running across the stone surface. Some researchers believe these lines are evidence of man-made construction, while others argue that they are the result of natural processes. The sharp edges, rectangular shapes, and angular structures resemble walls, platforms, and staircases, not typical of natural formations that are usually rounded and weathered. The symmetry of the structure is what sets it apart from anything found in nature, with stones arranged in a way that suggests intentional design rather than random natural erosion. Now, this is where the real mystery starts to unfold. Could these underwater ruins be a lost city that existed long before recorded history? Some theories suggest that Yonaguni could have been part of a much larger complex of structures, a city that flourished thousands of years ago, only to be swallowed by the sea after a cataclysmic event like a tsunami, earthquake, or rising sea levels. This theory fits into a pattern of ancient civilizations that were lost to the ocean, much like the legend of Atlantis. Could the Yonaguni monument be a piece of a much larger puzzle, one that has been lost to time and is now slowly being uncovered? There are fascinating parallels between the Yonaguni monument and other submerged cities around the world. Just off the coast of India, there are the remains of Dwarka, an ancient city described in Hindu texts as being swallowed by the sea. The underwater ruins of Dwarka resemble the structures found at Yonaguni, with stone walls and geometric formations that suggest a well-planned, sophisticated city. Could these submerged cities all be part of a global pattern of lost civilizations? If so, could these ruins indicate that there was once a global network of advanced civilizations that have been erased by natural disasters and time? One of the most compelling arguments for the man-made theory comes from the idea that the monument could have been used as an astronomical observatory. Some researchers believe that the alignment of the terraces with the sun and stars suggests the monument's design had an astronomical purpose. Could it have been a place for ancient civilizations to track celestial movements, just as the Great Pyramids of Giza in Egypt were designed with precise astronomical alignments? If this was the case, it would suggest that the people who built the Yonaguni monument had a sophisticated understanding of astronomy and possibly had advanced technology long before recorded history. And then there's the question of age. How old is the Yonaguni monument? The structure is submerged, and dating the stones has proven difficult. But some researchers suggest that it could be anywhere from 10,000 to 20,000 years old, which places it far before the rise of known ancient civilizations. This would place the monument in a time period when humans were still in the early stages of settlement and development. If true, this could suggest that there was a civilization that existed thousands of years ago, long before the rise of Mesopotamia, Egypt, or Mesoamerica, a civilization lost to the ocean and forgotten by history. Now, let's talk about theories of what happened to the monument and the civilization that might have built it. Was the Yonaguni monument built by a society that mastered advanced engineering techniques, only to be consumed by natural catastrophes? Could this ancient civilization have been wiped out by an earthquake, tsunami, or the rising sea levels following the end of the Ice Age? If this is the case, the Yonaguni monument could be evidence of an ancient global civilization that was submerged by a cataclysmic event that altered the course of history. There's a tantalizing possibility that the Yonaguni monument could be more than just another submerged formation. It could be the remains of a lost city, a forgotten civilization, or a mysterious monument, waiting to be rediscovered. If the theory is correct, it would mean that there were advanced societies long before the civilizations we recognize today, and their story, their achievements, and their knowledge were lost to time, submerged beneath the waves, just like Atlantis. With every new dive, every new discovery, we inch closer to answering the question, could this ancient, submerged monument be the remains of a long-lost civilization, hidden beneath the waves, waiting for us to finally piece together its story? Only time and technology will tell, but the mystery of the Yonaguni monument continues to captivate, leaving us with more questions than answers. What else lies hidden beneath the surface of the ocean, waiting to be uncovered? And what do these discoveries mean for the history of humanity and the civilizations that may have existed long before we ever thought possible. The Black Sea wasn't always the body of water we know today. In fact, it was once a large freshwater lake, a body of water that covered much of the area we now see submerged under salt water. But something extraordinary happened around 7,500 years ago. The lake was flooded in what many believe could have been a massive catastrophic event that altered the landscape and submerged ancient cities beneath the waves. Imagine this: a huge body of water, once fresh, suddenly transforming into a saltwater sea in an instant, flooding the land and swallowing entire civilizations whole. What if this event, known as the Black Sea Deluge, could explain why we have yet to find the remains of ancient cities that are supposedly older than the ones we know from the early days of civilization? This theory has gained increasing support as archaeologists continue to explore the Black Sea, uncovering shocking evidence of ancient human life submerged beneath the water. Underwater excavations have revealed remains of settlements, stone structures, and tools that date back thousands of years to a time before the Black Sea became the saltwater sea we know today. These findings challenge what we thought we knew about ancient human settlements in the region and suggest that ancient civilizations may have been wiped out by an event of unprecedented scale. Could these submerged ruins be the remnants of an ancient civilization lost to the sea during the Black Sea flood? It's a theory that is both chilling and fascinating, with every new discovery adding more weight to this incredible idea. When researchers first began exploring the Black Sea, they expected to find little more than marine life and some natural formations. What they didn't expect was to uncover ancient human settlements submerged under more than 150 meters of water, preserved for thousands of years in the depths of the sea. One of the most startling discoveries was the remains of stone structures, which included walls, tools, and even evidence of early fishing and agriculture. These settlements, dating back to around 5,500 BCE, predate even the earliest cities of Mesopotamia. The evidence of these ancient communities buried beneath the waters of the Black Sea suggests that human societies once lived along its shores, completely unaware that they were about to be erased by a catastrophic event. The Black Sea Deluge theory suggests that around 7,500 years ago, a massive flooding event occurred when the Mediterranean Sea breached the natural dam that separated it from the Black Sea, causing salt water to rush in and transform the once freshwater lake into the saltwater sea we know today. This influx of water would have been catastrophic for the people living along the shores, drowning entire communities and wiping out evidence of their existence. The flood would have inundated entire cities, leaving them submerged under layers of sediment, where they remained preserved until modern archaeologists were able to rediscover them. This deluge might have been one of the most devastating natural events in human history, possibly sparking flood myths in cultures around the world, including the famous Noah's Ark story in the Bible. To truly grasp the scale of what happened, consider how sudden and dramatic the transition must have been. The Black Sea's natural dam was not a small barrier. It was a massive geological feature that held back fresh water for thousands of years. When this dam gave way, the surrounding area would have seen dramatic changes. The incoming salt water would have flooded the region at an incredible speed, transforming once fertile and settled lands into a treacherous, salty sea. The sheer scale of the Black Sea flood could have completely erased entire ancient societies in a matter of days, leaving behind only the faintest traces of human activity. Archaeologists continue to explore the Black Sea's depths, and each new discovery adds more mystery to this theory. In 2000, oceanographers using sonar technology discovered underwater structures, including ancient roads, building foundations, and stone circles, all buried beneath the black waters of the sea. These findings suggest that the Black Sea was once the site of thriving human settlements, and the catastrophic event that drowned these communities could explain why we have no records of their existence in the historical record. What if the flood wiped away an entire advanced civilization and we are only now finding their remnants. One of the most exciting aspects of these underwater discoveries is how well preserved the artifacts and structures are. The lack of oxygen in the deep waters of the Black Sea has helped preserve organic material that would have otherwise decayed. Wooden structures, tools, and bones have been found, and the preservation of these materials provides an incredible glimpse into the daily lives of the people who lived here, long before written history began. This level of preservation could offer new insights into early human civilization and how it might have evolved in the Black Sea region, far earlier than we previously thought. As the evidence continues to mount, it raises a compelling question. Could the Black Sea deluge be one of the most important events in human prehistory? A catastrophe that forever altered the course of civilization? The idea that entire advanced communities were lost to the waves, their knowledge and culture erased in a single event, is both heartbreaking and fascinating. Could it explain why we have no records of these lost civilizations? Why there are gaps in our understanding of human history? The submerged settlements found in the Black Sea may be just the beginning. If these cities were part of a larger civilization, what other pieces of evidence are waiting to be uncovered beneath the waters? As researchers continue to explore this submerged world, they are piecing together the remnants of a lost history, one that challenges everything we thought we knew about early civilizations. The mystery of the Black Sea deluge invites us to reconsider the timeline of human history and ponder what we might still have left to uncover about the people who lived long before us. The answers could be buried under the waves, waiting for us to dive deeper into the secrets of the past. Around 12,000 years ago, Earth underwent one of the most dramatic shifts in climate in its history. This event, known as the Younger Dryas, plunged the planet into a sudden and extreme cooling period that lasted for about 1,300 years. The transition from the warm conditions of the previous millennia to this abrupt, ice age-like climate is one of the most puzzling and mysterious events in human prehistory. Some researchers argue that this cooling wasn't just a natural phenomenon. It was caused by something much more catastrophic, the impact of a comet or asteroid. A celestial object colliding with Earth could have triggered a massive firestorm, drastically altered the climate, and completely wiped out large sections of the Earth's ecosystems, including the early civilizations that were starting to form around the world. But was this sudden cooling and destruction just a natural fluke, or could it explain the disappearance of entire ancient cultures? The Younger Dryas impact hypothesis suggests that a comet or asteroid collided with Earth around this time, sending shockwaves through the atmosphere, igniting fires, and plunging the planet into a dramatic, rapid cooling period. It's an idea that is not only startling, but backed by shocking evidence. Across various sites around the world, researchers have found microscopic particles, charcoal, and iridium, elements that are typically associated with asteroid or comet impacts. These particles are found in layers of sediment and often in the same strata where we find ancient human artifacts. This discovery has led many to believe that the Younger Dryas cooling was not just a fluke of nature, but the direct result of a massive impact event that changed the course of history, wiping out many civilizations in the process. What makes this theory so compelling is that the evidence isn't just isolated to one or two locations. These microscopic particles, often rich in iridium, a metal that's rare on Earth but abundant in asteroids, have been found in multiple sites across the world. They appear in sediment layers that date back to 12,000 years ago, right at the onset of the Younger Dryas cooling. What's even more fascinating is that the presence of charcoal and ash at these sites points to the possibility that a global firestorm occurred as a result of the impact event, engulfing vast stretches of land in fire and destroying ecosystems far and wide. This firestorm would have been catastrophic for both humans and animals, wiping out entire populations and leaving a trail of destruction that's still visible in the archaeological record. The impact would have been so massive that it likely created a global cooling effect. As the dust and debris from the collision spread into the atmosphere, they would have blocked out much of the sunlight, causing temperatures to plummet. In just a matter of years, the Earth's climate shifted from relatively warm conditions to harsh, cold ones dramatically affecting agriculture and wildlife. This sudden climate shift, which was part of the Younger Dryas event, could have caused widespread famine and displacement, decimating human populations and forcing them to adapt quickly or face extinction. But what's perhaps most chilling is the impact this event could have had on the ancient civilizations that were starting to emerge at the time. Around 12,000 years ago, human societies were beginning to transition from hunter-gatherers to agricultural societies, with evidence of early settlements and the beginnings of complex societies in places like the Fertile Crescent. These were the first societies to domesticate plants and animals, build permanent settlements, and create advanced tools. But suddenly, and without warning, the Earth's climate changed, and civilizations that were just beginning to flourish were destroyed by a cataclysmic event. Could this cooling event, possibly caused by a comet impact, explain why many ancient cultures vanished so abruptly from the historical record? The idea that entire civilizations could have been wiped out in an instant raises some fascinating questions. What if, instead of gradual decline, entire societies were erased by an event they had no way of predicting or surviving? We think of ancient civilizations as having slow, gradual collapses due to war, famine, or other natural forces. But what if instead they were destroyed by an instantaneous catastrophe? Could the sudden disappearance of entire cultures, the abrupt halt in the development of certain regions, and the mysteries of ancient ruins be explained by a single catastrophic event, like a comet impact? The Younger Dryas impact theory also provides an interesting connection to global flood myths that exist in cultures around the world. Many ancient civilizations, from the Mesopotamians to the Hindus, have legends of a great deluge that wiped out all life, save for a few survivors. The most famous of these stories is the flood in the Bible, the tale of Noah's Ark. But there are other similar myths, such as those from the Sumerians, the Greeks, and the Maya. Could these flood stories be more than just myth? Could they be based on real events, such as a massive rise in sea levels, caused by the Younger Dryas cooling, or the flooding that followed a comet impact? The destruction of ancient cities and civilizations might not have been due to gradual decay, but rather a global catastrophe that reshaped the Earth's environment and wiped away entire cultures in a matter of moments. The psychological impact of the Younger Dryas hypothesis is profound. It forces us to consider the possibility that the history we know is not complete. We tend to think of civilizations as being fragile, growing and falling over centuries. But what if many ancient cultures vanished suddenly, leaving behind nothing but ruins, legends, and mysterious artifacts? Could the entire course of human history have been interrupted by a single catastrophic event? An event that erased the achievements of an entire era in the blink of an eye? And if the Younger Dryas was caused by a comet, it's possible that this was not an isolated event. What if the Earth has experienced several such catastrophic impacts over the course of human history? The idea of a comet or asteroid wiping out civilizations may sound like science fiction, but as we look at the evidence, microscopic particles, firestorms, and sudden cooling, it starts to feel more like history, not fiction. Could it be that humanity has survived not only its own mistakes, but also the unexpected forces of the cosmos? Could this theory explain the mystery of lost civilizations, those that vanished without a trace, leaving only fragments of their stories for us to find? The Younger Dryas hypothesis doesn't just provide an answer to the mystery of lost civilizations. It challenges us to rethink the very way we understand the history of humanity. As the Ice Age came to a close, around 12,000 years ago, Earth underwent dramatic changes that would forever alter the planet's climate, ecosystems, and the civilizations living at the time. The end of the Ice Age was marked by rising sea levels, which flooded vast areas of the world, submerging entire coastlines and civilizations along with them. The glaciers that had once covered much of the northern hemisphere began to melt, releasing vast amounts of water into the oceans. Sea levels rose at an accelerating pace, drowning coastal settlements and effectively reshaping the Earth's geography in a relatively short amount of time. The magnitude of this event is something few people realize. What if these catastrophic changes explain the sudden disappearance of ancient civilizations, whose stories and histories were swallowed by the rising tides? As the seas inundated the land, entire coastal cities could have been swept away in a matter of weeks, leaving behind only remains that were quickly buried by sediment or lost to the ocean. The cities that once stood proudly along the coastlines of the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, and even Asia were effectively erased by the rising water. It's difficult to imagine how quickly this process could have happened. One moment these societies were thriving, and the next they were completely submerged, leaving no trace behind except for mysterious myths, ruins, and artifacts. The question we must ask is, how many ancient cultures were lost to this rising tide? Could civilizations that were beginning to flourish along the coasts have been wiped out by a natural event, so massive and sudden that we only now see the echoes of their existence through artifacts and scattered remains? The evidence of ancient flooding is not limited to just a few regions, but can be found across the globe, suggesting that these floods were not isolated events, but part of a much larger cataclysm that reshaped humanity's early history. Across ancient cultures, there are stories of great floods, myths and legends that describe global disasters, such as the flood of Noah's Ark in the Bible, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and countless others. These flood myths are widespread and share remarkable similarities, indicating that they may be based on a real historical event. But what exactly happened to cause such a catastrophic event? Could the rising sea levels at the end of the Ice Age have triggered massive floods that wiped out entire civilizations, leaving few survivors? Or could these global flood myths be a collective memory of natural catastrophes, such as tsunamis, earthquakes, and rising tides, that occurred at the end of the Ice Age? The end of the Ice Age coincided with a period of rapid global warming that dramatically altered the Earth's climate. As the polar ice caps melted, the water was released into the ocean, causing sea levels to rise by as much as 120 meters over thousands of years. The coastal areas, which were once home to thriving human settlements, were now submerged beneath the waves. Entire civilizations that had flourished along the Mediterranean or Pacific coastlines were suddenly overwhelmed by the flooding. To understand the magnitude of these events, we need to look at how quickly sea levels can rise in geological terms. While the melting ice caps took thousands of years to release their water, the sea levels rose at a rate of approximately 10 millimeters per year, which doesn't sound like much, but over thousands of years, this adds up to catastrophic changes in the landscape. Cities that once stood at the edge of the shore were suddenly swallowed by the ocean, leaving no traces behind. The evidence we have today, ruins, pottery, tools, and bones, could be all that remains of these once flourishing societies. One particularly compelling example of such a submerged city is Dwarka, a city mentioned in ancient Hindu texts as being swallowed by the sea after the death of Lord Krishna. Located off the coast of India, the ruins of Dwarka have been found submerged beneath the waters of the Arabian Sea, providing potential evidence that a once great city was destroyed in a catastrophic flood. Underwater excavations have uncovered stone walls, roads, and buildings which resemble the descriptions found in ancient texts. Could this submerged city be the remains of a lost civilization that was wiped out by rising sea levels? And if Dwarka is real, how many other lost cities and civilizations, once thriving by the coastlines, could have suffered the same fate? While Dwarka is one example, there are other submerged sites around the world that support the theory of cataclysmic flooding. For instance, off the coast of Japan, there lies the Yonaguni Monument, a mysterious underwater structure that some believe is an ancient man-made city submerged during a massive disaster. The precise geometric shapes, terraces, and steps found in the Yanaguni monument seem too perfect to be the result of natural processes, suggesting that it may have been built by an ancient civilization that was later engulfed by a rising sea. The most compelling evidence for these submerged civilizations comes from the Black Sea. In the 1990s, researchers discovered ancient ruins submerged at the bottom of the Black Sea, dating back to about 5,500 BCE, a time when the Black Sea was still a freshwater lake. Underwater archaeologists found stone walls, fishing tools, and other artifacts preserved beneath the water, all evidence of human settlements that had been swallowed by the sea when the Mediterranean Sea burst through the natural dam that separated it from the Black Sea, flooding the freshwater lake and creating the salty Black Sea we know today. The Black Sea deluge is one of the most fascinating theories about the cataclysmic floods that could have wiped out ancient civilizations. As the floodwaters swept through, entire communities were likely submerged in a matter of days or weeks, much like the legendary flood myths described across the globe. Could this event explain why we have so little evidence of these ancient cultures? If they were wiped out so suddenly by rising seas, how could their cities, knowledge, and history survive? Perhaps the real story of these civilizations is buried beneath layers of sediment and silt, waiting to be uncovered by archaeologists with the right tools to dive deep into the mysteries of the past. And here's the ultimate cliffhanger. Could these cataclysmic floods explain why we've never found traces of lost civilizations? Entire cultures could have been erased in one fell swoop, leaving behind only legends, myths, and faint artifacts as their only record. The truth might be out there, lurking beneath the waves or hidden beneath ancient ruins. And the more we search, the more questions we uncover about how humanity's history could have been shaped and reshaped by forces beyond our control. Could the rise in sea levels at the end of the Ice Age be the key to understanding the disappearance of entire civilizations and the great mysteries of our ancient past? The answer might just be lying beneath the waves, waiting for us to uncover it. In 1901, a shipwreck was discovered off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera, and among the scattered remains was a strange collection of corroded bronze fragments. At first, these pieces seemed like nothing more than debris from a sunken ship, but upon closer inspection, researchers realized they had uncovered something incredibly significant, what would later be called the Antikythera Mechanism. This artifact is widely considered to be the world's first analog computer, built over 2,000 years ago to track celestial bodies, predict eclipses, and even calculate the timing of Olympic Games. What makes the Antikythera Mechanism so mind-blowing is not just the fact that it exists, but that it's astonishingly advanced for its time. The device, constructed from a series of interlocking gears and housed in a bronze casing, is able to perform complex astronomical calculations that we only began to understand in the modern era. And here's the real kicker. This level of mechanical precision wasn't seen again until the 14th century in medieval Europe, over 1,000 years later. To put it in perspective, imagine discovering an iPhone in a tomb, but finding that it works like a charm and can predict the future, just without the internet, of course. Now, if you're wondering how in the world the ancient Greeks could have created something so complex, you're not alone. This ancient analog computer raises some fascinating questions about the technological capabilities of ancient civilizations. First, consider the mechanics of the device. The Antikythera Mechanism consists of more than 30 gears and is remarkably compact, roughly the size of a modern shoebox. What's more impressive is the precision of the gears and how they work together to map out the movements of celestial bodies, the sun, the moon, and even the planets. This machine could predict not only eclipses, but also the positions of the stars, using the same principles of mechanical motion that modern gears and clocks rely on. The sophistication of this mechanism suggests that the ancient Greeks had an intimate understanding of astronomy, one that would have been far beyond what we typically associate with a culture still in the early stages of science. But here's where things get even more intriguing. How was the Antikythera mechanism even made in the first place? The fact that it existed centuries before the modern era should make us stop and wonder about the technological expertise involved. To build such an intricate device, the ancient Greeks must have had highly developed knowledge of mathematics, geometrical precision, and engineering techniques that were, frankly, too advanced for their time. How did they accomplish this? Were they the originators of this technology, or did they inherit it from an even older civilization, one whose knowledge was lost to history? And if this kind of technology was present in 100 BCE, what else did the ancient world understand that we're only beginning to uncover today? The complexity of the Antikythera mechanism suggests a level of engineering that wasn't seen again until the medieval period. Think about it. If you took the gears and the mathematical design of the mechanism, they bear a striking resemblance to the gears and clocks developed in the 14th century, 1,000 years after the Antikythera mechanism was created. This raises the possibility that the ancient Greeks were tapping into a forgotten knowledge, a knowledge that we've lost and had to rediscover centuries later. The question, then, becomes, where did this knowledge come from? Could it have been passed down from even older civilizations? Or was the Antikythera mechanism a rare example of the ancient world's understanding of mechanics and astronomy? It's a mystery that still baffles experts. One of the most significant aspects of the Antikythera mechanism is its potential connection to lost civilizations. Some researchers suggest that this device could be a relic of a pre-Greek civilization, one that had already developed highly sophisticated mechanical and astronomical technology. This theory is especially compelling when you consider that there are other unexplained artifacts from ancient history, such as the Piri race map, which some believe could depict lost lands or civilizations, or the Nazca lines in Peru, which suggest advanced knowledge of astronomy and geometry. Could the Antikythera mechanism be another artifact from an ancient, advanced society that was later forgotten or lost? And if so, could there be other artifacts out there waiting to be rediscovered? Pieces of technology so far ahead of their time that we still cannot fully comprehend them? Now, let's dive into some of the shocking details that have come to light during the investigation of the Antikythera mechanism. In 2005, a team of scientists used X-ray imaging to study the fragments more closely, uncovering inscriptions that were previously unreadable. These inscriptions helped researchers understand the purpose of the various gears and how they were used to track not just the moon and the sun, but planetary cycles as well. The device was more than just an astronomical calculator. It also served as a predictor of eclipses and may have even been used to chart the cycles of Olympic Games, aligning perfectly with the Greek calendar. What's incredible is that the engineering behind the Antikythera mechanism would have required a high level of precision and skill, suggesting that its creators were masters of both mathematics and mechanics. But how could such knowledge have been so advanced for its time? Were they building on knowledge that predated them? The complexity of this artifact is almost mind-boggling when you consider that it's not just a tool. It's an advanced technological device that was built using materials and tools that would have been primitive by modern standards. There's a subtle yet remarkable irony here. The Antikythera mechanism is essentially ancient Greece's version of an iPhone, minus the battery and touchscreen. Imagine the implications of that. It's as if we discovered a tech gadget from the past, but instead of texting or surfing the web, it was tracking the stars and predicting celestial movements with the accuracy of modern tools. It's a reminder that the ancients were capable of more than just philosophy and art. They also had a deep understanding of the natural world that we're only beginning to rediscover. As researchers continue to unlock the mysteries of the Antikythera mechanism, they are slowly revealing a complexity that is unparalleled for its time. The device is an unmistakable clue that ancient cultures may have been far more advanced than we give them credit for. If the Greeks were capable of creating such an intricate and advanced machine, What else did they know about mechanical engineering, astronomy, and mathematics that we haven't yet uncovered? Perhaps this ancient calculator is just one example of forgotten knowledge, a relic of a lost civilization that has now left us with more questions than answers. In the end, the Antikythera Mechanism is more than just a piece of ancient technology. It's a window into a world of lost knowledge, one that may have been far more advanced than we previously thought. And the more we discover about it, the more we begin to wonder, how much of the past do we really understand, and how much of it is still waiting for us to uncover? The Antikythera Mechanism, with its gears, precision, and mystery, may just be the tip of the iceberg in a world of ancient achievements we have yet to fully comprehend. From Gobekli Tepe to submerged cities, from lost technologies to ancient catastrophes, the story of human history is far more mysterious than we ever imagined. We've journeyed through ancient ruins that shouldn't exist, uncovered technologies too advanced for their time, and explored the remnants of civilizations that seem to have disappeared without a trace. Yet the more we uncover, the more we begin to wonder, could humanity not be the first to walk this earth? Could the story of our civilization be part of a much larger, ongoing cycle, one where we're simply the most recent chapter? The mysteries we've explored are just the tip of the iceberg, and with each discovery, we realize that the past we've been taught might only be a small fragment of the bigger picture. The idea that a lost civilization could have risen and fallen before us is not as far-fetched as it sounds. There are too many unexplained ruins, too many unanswered questions, and too many ancient technologies that challenge everything we thought we knew about our own origins. Could we be standing on the shoulders of giants, inheriting the remnants of civilizations that came before us, only to repeat the cycle of rise and fall? Could we be the latest civilization in a never-ending story, one where each cycle of development, advancement, and destruction leads to another iteration of humanity starting from scratch? As we've seen, the evidence of lost cities, mysterious artifacts, and ancient technologies points to the possibility that we are not alone in the history of civilization. Could we be part of a larger pattern, one where civilizations rise to incredible heights, only to be wiped out by forces beyond their control? And if so, what does that mean for us? Are we heading toward a future catastrophe? Or can we break the cycle and truly unlock the secrets of the past before they slip away again? The story does not end here. There's so much more to uncover, so many more questions to ask. The deeper we dig, the more intriguing and mysterious the past becomes. What if the cycle of civilizations is repeating itself, and we are merely the latest in a long line of civilizations that have come and gone? The answers are out there, just waiting to be discovered. So stay tuned, because the next piece of the puzzle could change everything. The mysteries of the past are far from over, and we've only just begun to scratch the surface. The Antikythera Mechanism is not just a singular artifact. It's a window into a forgotten era of ancient technology that challenges everything we thought we knew about the capabilities of early human civilizations. Found in 1901 in a shipwreck off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera, this remarkable device consists of a complex system of gears and cogs that were used to track the movements of celestial bodies, predict eclipses, and possibly even mark the timing of events like the Olympic Games. In essence, this machine was a form of an analog computer, designed to perform astronomical calculations that weren't fully understood until centuries later in the medieval period. But what if the Antikythera Mechanism was just the tip of the iceberg? What if it's not the only example of advanced technology created by ancient cultures, only to be lost to time? The more we dive into the study of ancient technologies, the more we uncover evidence of other mysterious devices and inventions scattered across the world, suggesting that civilizations long before us might have been capable of creating machines and tools that were far more advanced than we ever imagined. Could the Antikythera Mechanism be the missing link in understanding a time when humanity possessed technology that we've only recently begun to rediscover? When you examine the precision of the Antikythera mechanism, it's almost like discovering a modern iPhone, but with gears and no battery. An ancient mechanical marvel with no equal in the known world at the time. The device itself is so intricate that even today, it takes cutting-edge technology to fully understand how it worked. The more than 30 gears inside the device work together to predict celestial events with incredible precision, pointing to the possibility that ancient Greek civilization was more technologically advanced than we've given them credit for. This would have been an incredible feat of engineering, especially given that ancient civilizations lacked the precision tools and scientific knowledge that we take for granted today. The device itself didn't just function. It was a symbol of the ability of ancient people to predict, observe, and harness the natural forces around them. Now, consider this. What if the Antikythera mechanism wasn't an isolated case, but part of a larger tradition of ancient knowledge and technology? What if these ancient mechanical devices were part of a global system of knowledge shared across cultures, connecting Mesopotamia, Egypt, Mesoamerica, and beyond? This isn't as outlandish as it sounds, especially when you look at other ancient artifacts that hint at the possibility of advanced technology. For instance, the Baghdad battery, a small clay jar that some believe could have been used as a primitive electrical cell, predates modern batteries by more than 2,000 years. Could it be that the people who created this device were tapping into a kind of lost electrical knowledge? A form of technology passed down through ancient cultures? Or how about the Nazca lines in Peru? Geoglyphs so perfectly aligned that they can only be fully appreciated from the air, suggesting that ancient people had advanced astronomical knowledge and perhaps even sophisticated engineering tools. This is where the mystery gets even deeper. What if these technologies weren't isolated to a single region or a single culture, but were part of a larger, interconnected system of knowledge, a system that transcended modern boundaries of what we perceive as ancient civilizations? Imagine, if you will, a time when ancient cultures shared technological knowledge as part of a global network, much like how scientists and engineers today collaborate across borders to share breakthroughs. Could the Antikythera mechanism have been part of such a system? Could it have been a piece of technology that traveled from one culture to the next, passed down as part of a much larger network of lost knowledge? The more we study these devices, the more it seems like the people of the ancient world were far more connected than we ever imagined. Look at Machu Picchu in Peru, an ancient city built high in the mountains, with remarkable engineering and architecture that continues to astound researchers. The stones used to build the Inca structures are so precisely cut that not even a razor blade can fit between them, a feat that modern engineering sometimes struggles to replicate. How did the Incas, with no modern tools or technology, achieve such precision? Some have theorized that they were the inheritors of ancient knowledge. Knowledge passed down through the ages from a much older civilization, perhaps one that possessed the same level of sophistication we see in the Antikythera mechanism. Could these megalithic structures have been part of a global network of knowledge, shared across continents in an ancient age? This idea of a lost technological network gets even more intriguing when you consider how many ancient artifacts and structures we still don't fully understand. The Piri-Reis map, created by a 16th century Ottoman admiral, shows a remarkably accurate depiction of the coast of Antarctica, long before it was officially discovered by modern explorers. Could this map have been based on much older charts and knowledge passed down through ancient seafaring cultures? Some believe that it could be a map that was created with advanced geographical and navigational knowledge, possibly inherited from a lost civilization with expertise in astronomy, navigation, and engineering, skills that were likely passed down over centuries, evolving and spreading to cultures around the world. The more you look into these ancient technologies and the connections between them, the clearer it becomes that there's a larger pattern emerging. Could ancient cultures, such as the Greeks, Egyptians, and Incas, have shared technologies, knowledge, and advancements in ways that we haven't yet uncovered? What if these technologies didn't just disappear? They were lost, left behind in the wake of a global catastrophe, or systematically wiped out over time. Imagine how much more we could learn if we were able to piece together this global network of knowledge, reclaiming the secrets of the past and bringing them into the light of the present. And what about the Antikythera Mechanism itself? Could it be a remnant of a lost golden age? A time when technological marvels like this were not just possible, but normal? Maybe what we think of as cutting edge. Technology today isn't the start of the journey, but just a rediscovery of a much older form of knowledge that survived the ages, waiting for us to reconnect the dots and unlock its secrets. The implications are staggering, and they challenge everything we've ever thought about the origins of technology, the history of civilizations, and the path to the future. The Antikythera Mechanism may be just the beginning of the journey back to the past, and with each discovery, we are getting closer to unlocking the full mystery of what the ancients really knew. The story of Atlantis has captivated humanity for centuries, shrouded in mystery and myth, tantalizing our imaginations with the possibility of a lost civilization that was once a pinnacle of advanced knowledge and culture. But what if Atlantis wasn't just a tale from Plato's dialogues, but a real place? A civilization that existed long before we thought humans were capable of such feats? Recent discoveries in the Mediterranean, Caribbean, and beyond have made us rethink what we know about ancient civilizations, and some evidence even points to the possibility that Atlantis could have been more than just legend. The concept of Atlantis has always been a fascinating one, largely because of its sudden disappearance. According to Plato, this advanced civilization, wealthy, powerful, and technologically sophisticated, was swallowed by the sea in a single cataclysmic event. For centuries, this tale seemed like a myth, a cautionary tale about hubris and downfall. However, as we dig deeper into archaeological findings, the boundaries between myth and reality start to blur. Could it be that Atlantis was not just a figment of Plato's imagination, but a real civilization that was wiped out in a cataclysmic flood, leaving only fragments of its story for later generations to piece together? The more we explore, the more evidence points to the possibility that Atlantis was not merely a myth. It could have been the cradle of many lost technologies and wisdom that have shaped the course of history in ways we're only just beginning to understand. Recent underwater discoveries are starting to reshape our understanding of the ancient world. Off the coast of Spain, a submerged city with roads, walls, and intricate stonework has been found. Could this be a forgotten Atlantean city? In the Caribbean, researchers have found strange underwater structures, some with geometric shapes that seem too precise to have been formed naturally. These structures bear a striking resemblance to the ancient cities described by Plato. Even more astonishing are the ruins discovered off the coast of Cuba and the Bahamas, deep underwater, at a depth of nearly 2,000 feet. The advanced architecture of these underwater sites has left many to question whether these could be the remnants of Atlantis, or at the very least, cities built by cultures with an astounding understanding of engineering. The idea that Atlantis could have been the root of all lost civilizations leads us to ancient flood myths, stories found in virtually every culture around the world that describe cataclysmic floods that wiped out entire societies. These myths share striking similarities. A great civilization is destroyed, and only a select few survive to pass down their stories. The most famous flood myth, of course, is the story of Noah's Ark in the Bible, but similar accounts appear in the Sumerian, Greek, and Mayan traditions, and many others. Could these flood myths be more than just allegories? Could they be memories of an actual catastrophic event that took place thousands of years ago, wiping out advanced cultures? Is it possible that Atlantis was the first to fall in a series of global floods that swept across the earth, erasing the legacy of great civilizations? And if so, could Atlantis have been the first to spread advanced astronomical knowledge, engineering techniques, and cultural practices to other parts of the world? What if Atlantis wasn't just a single island, but the starting point for an ancient civilization whose influence reached far and wide, establishing cultural links across the globe. Let's dive into the ancient accounts of Atlantis, particularly the descriptions from Plato. According to him, Atlantis was a highly advanced civilization. Its citizens were wealthy, technologically advanced, and lived in a city built on a series of concentric islands, surrounded by walls of bronze, silver, and gold. Technologically, they had complex machinery, irrigation systems, and engineering feats that were beyond anything known at the time. Plato described their navy as powerful, with ships capable of traveling vast distances across the oceans. The Atlanteans were said to have mastered astronomy, and their temples were designed to align with celestial bodies, much like the Egyptian pyramids. What if these advanced systems weren't just Greek tales, but the stories of a real civilization that spread knowledge of advanced construction, navigation, and engineering across the ancient world? Could it be that the Atlanteans were the ancestors of many of the great ancient cultures that followed, including the Sumerians, the Egyptians, and even the Maya? If we accept that Atlantis was a real civilization, then perhaps it wasn't just destroyed. Perhaps the knowledge and wisdom of Atlantis were redistributed across the globe, influencing cultures that came after it. Imagine that the advanced technologies and astronomical knowledge described in Plato's account of Atlantis weren't just lost when the civilization fell, but instead, the knowledge was passed down and adapted by surviving cultures in the Middle East, Africa, and Mesoamerica. Could the Mayan calendar have been derived from Atlantean astronomy? Were the pyramids of Egypt built using knowledge passed down from the Atlanteans? Is it possible that the Phoenicians, the ancient seafarers who navigated the Mediterranean, had inherited their navigation and shipbuilding techniques from the Atlanteans, giving rise to the great trading cultures of the ancient world? What we're left with is a tantalizing possibility. Atlantis was not just an isolated myth, but a repository of ancient knowledge that spread out into the world, becoming the foundation for many of the great civilizations that came after it. But why was Atlantis so important to Plato? And why did he emphasize that it was destroyed? Was he warning future generations about the dangers of hubris? Or was he recording a real event, one that was passed down through oral tradition, telling of a civilization that fell victim to its own ambition and pride? The most fascinating aspect of the Atlantis story isn't just the idea of a great civilization being swallowed by the sea, but the questions it raises about the true origins of human knowledge and civilization. What if Atlantis wasn't just the root of all lost civilizations, but also the beginning of a global network of wisdom, passed down through the ages, shaping the future of humanity long after the Atlanteans were gone? Could we be standing on the threshold of a discovery that could redefine our understanding of history? The mystery of Atlantis is far from over. It's just beginning. So stay tuned as we continue to explore the possibilities of what lies beneath the waves, waiting for us to uncover the lost chapters of human history. Ancient trade routes and global connections. What if the ancient world wasn't as isolated as we've always been led to believe? What if the world's ancient civilizations were more interconnected than we think, with global trade networks and sophisticated transportation systems that stretched far beyond the limits of what we consider possible for their time? The more we explore this idea, the more evidence emerges that ancient cultures were far more advanced and connected than we give them credit for. And this is where the mystery of lost highways and ancient seafaring comes into play, connecting the dots between cultures across vast distances, long before modern globalization was even a thought. Let's start by examining one of the most intriguing pieces of evidence, the Piri Reis map, created in 1513 by the Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis. This map shows a remarkably detailed and accurate depiction of the world as it was known at the time, including the coastline of Antarctica, which hadn't been officially discovered yet. Now, how could ancient navigators create such an accurate map of a continent they had never set foot on? Some believe that this map was drawn from older charts, passed down through the ages, possibly dating back to an era when advanced seafaring cultures had already explored the oceans in ways we can't even fathom today. The idea that lost civilizations might have mapped the world long before modern explorers like Columbus is both fascinating and mind-blowing. One theory suggests that the Piri race map is not just a product of the 15th century, but a compilation of ancient charts created by seafarers and traders who navigated the globe thousands of years ago. The map includes detailed depictions of coastlines and mountain ranges that could not have been accurately known to the people of Piri race time. This brings us to a critical question. Could ancient cultures have had a much more sophisticated understanding of the world than we realize? Could they have developed early global trade routes that connected civilizations across vast distances, long before the rise of modern navigation? Let's dive deeper into the idea of pre-Columbian transoceanic contact. Evidence suggests that ancient seafaring cultures, like the Phoenicians, Egyptians, and Polynesians, had an astonishing ability to navigate across oceans, using the stars, currents, and wind patterns to guide them. Could these ancient people have traveled across the seas, not just within their own regions, but to lands on other continents? The more we look at it, the more we see traces of possible global trade networks. For example, the ancient Phoenicians are known to have sailed across the Mediterranean and Atlantic Oceans, establishing trade routes that stretched as far as Britain for tin and even Africa for gold. But could these maritime cultures have gone even further, reaching places like the Americas or the Pacific Islands? What if the ancient world was far more interconnected than we've ever thought? One fascinating piece of evidence that points toward this theory is the Nazca lines in Peru. These gigantic geoglyphs, which can only be fully appreciated from the air, depict animals, plants, and astronomical patterns that seem to have no logical explanation. Unless, of course, the ancient people who created them had a deep understanding of astronomy and navigation. But what if these Nazca lines weren't just a product of local culture? What if they were part of a much larger global network of navigational markers that were used by seafaring cultures to guide their journeys across vast oceans? The alignment of the Nazca lines with celestial bodies and the sun's movement suggests that they may have been a navigation tool for sailors, just as Stonehenge and the pyramids of Egypt aligned with the stars to help ancient cultures navigate. Could these ancient peoples have been guiding each other across oceans, trading goods, ideas, and knowledge in ways we have only just begun to understand? As we explore these connections, the Nazca lines are not the only evidence of ancient global navigation. We can look at Machu Picchu, an ancient Incan city in Peru that continues to astonish researchers with its precision and astronomical alignment. The Incas had an extraordinary ability to measure and mark the passage of time through their advanced knowledge of celestial bodies, which was passed down through their ancestors. Could this knowledge have come from an even older civilization, one that shared advanced navigation systems across continents? The Incan Empire, like other ancient cultures, may have had extensive trade routes that connected them to distant lands, passing through the Amazon, Mesoamerica, and possibly even Europe. Imagine the possibility that Machu Picchu, along with other ancient sites like Tiwanaku and Cusco, were part of a global network of trade routes and cultural exchanges that linked ancient peoples across vast distances. Let's not forget the Polynesians, who are often credited with having one of the most advanced forms of navigation in the ancient world. These seafaring people traveled across the Pacific Ocean, using the stars, wind patterns, and ocean swells to navigate to remote islands like Hawaii, Easter Island, and New Zealand. The fact that they could travel across thousands of miles of open ocean without the use of modern technology suggests that they had a sophisticated understanding of the Earth's curvature and celestial bodies. This knowledge would have been passed down through generations, creating an ancient global network of navigators that spanned oceans and continents. The more we investigate, the more mysteries emerge. Ancient cultures had a profound understanding of astronomy, navigation, and geography and we are only beginning to unravel the extent of their knowledge. How did they manage to navigate such vast distances across the oceans? Could they have used celestial navigation to plot their courses, relying on the stars to guide them just as modern sailors do today? The evidence suggests that ancient cultures were far more advanced in global navigation than we've been taught. In fact, they may have developed systems of trade and travel that linked the world together, with advanced map-making, navigation techniques, and celestial knowledge being passed down through ancient seafaring cultures that we know little about. And here's the ultimate question. What if these ancient trade routes, these lost highways, were part of an even larger global system, one that connected the entire ancient world, crossing oceans, continents, and civilizations? What if the knowledge of how to navigate the world, how to trade across vast distances, and how to map the stars was not lost, but merely hidden beneath the surface, waiting for us to rediscover it? The ancient world may have been more connected and advanced than we ever imagined, and the mysteries of these ancient highways could hold the key to understanding a lost chapter of human history. What if the story of ancient global navigation isn't just a matter of ships and explorers, but part of a global network that once existed to bring people, ideas, and knowledge together in a world far more connected than we know today? The more we uncover, the more we realize that the ancient world was not just a collection of isolated cultures, but a network of advanced civilizations, each contributing their knowledge and technology to the broader human story. What other ancient secrets might we uncover as we continue to explore these ancient highways, lost routes, and global connections? The answers might just change everything we know about the history of the world. When we think about ancient Egypt, the pyramids, and the Sphinx, we're faced with a mystery that has intrigued historians, archaeologists, and curious minds for centuries. These monumental structures stand as testaments to human ingenuity and advanced knowledge that seems to transcend the capabilities of the time. But what if we are looking at this from the wrong perspective? What if Egypt wasn't the first civilization, but rather the last? The final remnants of a much older civilization whose knowledge and achievements were passed down and transformed into the legacy we now associate with the pharaohs? Let's start with the Great Sphinx, the iconic limestone sculpture that has long been attributed to Pharaoh Khafor of the Old Kingdom. For centuries, it was believed to have been carved during his reign around 2500 BCE. But what if this dating is completely wrong? Some researchers, including geologists, have challenged the traditional view of the Sphinx's age. The weathering patterns seen on the Sphinx suggest a far older origin, one that aligns with the idea of rainfall erosion. Ancient Egypt was a desert for thousands of years, but there's evidence that the region was once far wetter, likely during a time when rainfall was abundant. If this is true, it would push the creation of the Sphinx back to a time well before the pharaohs, perhaps as far back as 10,000 BCE or even earlier. Why is this important? If the Sphinx was indeed carved by an earlier civilization, then Egypt's known history, the one we've been taught, might not be the first chapter of human civilization. The implications are staggering. What if the Sphinx and its nearby structures are remnants of an ancient civilization that existed long before the dynastic Egyptians came to power? What if the knowledge embedded in these monuments was passed down through the ages, making Egypt not the first, but the final chapter in a much older story? Could ancient Egypt have been the inheritor of lost wisdom, preserved in the monumental architecture and the mysterious symbols left behind? This brings us to the Great Pyramid of Giza, one of the most incredible structures ever built by humans. Its sheer scale, the precision with which it was constructed, and its alignment with the stars are all astonishing. The pyramid's construction still baffles even the best engineers today. Some scholars have long held the belief that the ancient Egyptians must have possessed advanced tools and engineering techniques to complete such a feat. But did they? Or could it be that the pyramids were built using knowledge inherited from an even older civilization? If the Sphinx is older than the pharaohs, perhaps the pyramids also reflect a knowledge that was passed down through time. An ancient understanding of geometry, astronomy, and engineering that the Egyptians did not create, but rather preserved. Let's take a closer look at the engineering techniques of the ancient Egyptians. When we study the construction of the pyramids, the precision with which the stones were cut and placed seems impossible for the time. Many of the stones used to build the Great Pyramid weigh several tons, and yet they were placed with such precision that not even a razor blade can fit between them. Ancient Egypt, with its primitive tools, had no known machinery capable of performing such tasks. So, how did the Egyptians manage it? Some suggest that they borrowed or inherited this knowledge from an older civilization that had access to advanced tools and technologies, now lost to the sands of time. Could these ancient builders have known about acoustic levitation or other methods of material manipulation that allowed them to lift and place these massive stones with such accuracy? Could the Egyptians have been passing down technology that was far more sophisticated than what we previously assumed? Let's also consider the astronomical alignments of the pyramids. The Great Pyramid of Giza is aligned with incredible precision to the cardinal directions, and its sides are incredibly straight, with only a fraction of a degree of error. Even more astonishing, the pyramid complex is aligned with the stars. Specifically, the belt of Orion, which ancient Egyptians associated with the god Osiris, the deity of the afterlife. This alignment suggests that the Egyptians were not just building for the sake of architecture. They were aligning their sacred sites with the heavens. This brings us to a larger question. Were these astronomical alignments part of a larger network of ancient knowledge shared across the globe? The pyramids, with their alignment to Orion, seem to echo the celestial knowledge found in other ancient structures, like Stonehenge in England or the Machu Picchu in Peru. Could the pyramids have been part of a global system of sacred sites designed to track the stars and the movements of the heavens? What if this shared astronomical knowledge wasn't just the product of the Egyptians, but the legacy of a much older civilization, one that passed down knowledge across generations, eventually influencing Egypt's architecture, religion, and culture? Could the Atlanteans, if they existed, have shared their advanced knowledge of astronomy and engineering with the Egyptians? The idea of a global civilization, connected by knowledge of the stars and the construction of monumental structures, doesn't seem so far-fetched when you start to see the patterns emerging in places like Egypt, Mesoamerica, and the Near East. These cultures were clearly able to measure the heavens and align their buildings with incredible precision, suggesting they had access to similar knowledge that may have been passed down from a previous civilization. The idea that the Egyptian pyramids might be the last remnants of a lost civilization opens up the possibility that the Egyptians were not the pioneers of these grand structures, but rather the heirs to an ancient tradition of advanced architecture and astronomy. Could the Egyptians have inherited the knowledge of older cultures, much like modern societies build upon the achievements of their predecessors? The pyramids, the Sphinx, and other monumental structures in Egypt may be the final pieces of a larger puzzle, one that suggests the existence of a global network of knowledge that connected ancient civilizations, all sharing the same advanced understanding of the world, the stars, and the forces of nature. Perhaps Egypt's true role in ancient history wasn't as the beginning of civilization, but as the final chapter in a long history of global interconnectedness passed down from civilizations that came before it. Could the Sphinx and the pyramids be markers of a lost civilization? One that was destroyed by a cataclysm, only for its knowledge to be preserved and adapted by the Egyptians? The more we investigate these ancient monuments, the more we find that they are not just physical structures. They are keys to unlocking a greater mystery, one that could change our understanding of the ancient world and our place in it. As we continue to examine these monumental structures, the question remains, was ancient Egypt truly the first civilization, or was it the last? The answer might be hidden in the weathered stones of the Sphinx in the alignment of the pyramids, and in the ancient wisdom that continues to be revealed as we dig deeper into the history of these incredible monuments. Could the Egyptians be the heirs of a lost civilization, whose knowledge was passed down through the ages, and whose legacy is preserved in the monuments that still stand today? Only time and further exploration will reveal the full extent of these mysterious connections. The Indus Valley Civilization, often overshadowed by the monumental achievements of Mesopotamia and ancient Egypt, remains one of the most fascinating and enigmatic cultures in human history. Flourishing between 3300 BCE and 1300 BCE, it spanned a vast area covering parts of present-day Pakistan, India, and Afghanistan. Despite its remarkable achievements, much about the Indus Valley Civilization continues to baffle archaeologists, particularly because, unlike the Egyptians and Sumerians, they left behind no known written records that we can definitively interpret. So, how did they manage to create such an advanced society without leaving behind a clear narrative of their people? How did they manage such complex urban planning, advanced technology, and global trade connections with no clear explanation? The Indus Valley's urban cities, such as Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, reveal a civilization with incredible foresight. These cities were laid out with an astonishing level of organization and planning. Streets ran in a grid pattern, something we might associate with modern city planning, not with a civilization that existed over 5,000 years ago. These cities also had advanced drainage systems that were the epitome of urban hygiene at the time. Houses were equipped with private bathrooms, and sewage systems ran through the city, suggesting a deep understanding of plumbing and sanitation. In a time when much of the ancient world lacked such basic infrastructure, the Indus Valley was not just surviving, it was thriving. But there is more to this civilization than just their urban planning. The craftsmanship displayed by the Indus people is equally impressive. Seals made of steatite and copper have been discovered, bearing mysterious symbols, possibly a form of writing or communication. The problem? We still haven't deciphered the Indus script. While languages like cuneiform in Mesopotamia and hieroglyphs in Egypt were eventually translated, the Indus script remains a mystery. Some believe that it could represent a language. Others think it might be a form of mathematical notation. Whatever it is, the fact that they used a written language or system of symbols suggests a level of complexity in their society that we often overlook. The mystery of the Indus Valley deepens when we consider their trade networks. Evidence suggests that the Indus Valley civilization was part of a global trade network stretching from Mesopotamia to the Persian Gulf, even possibly reaching as far as Egypt and the Mediterranean. This network wasn't just for exchanging goods like precious metals, stones, and luxury items. It was also an exchange of knowledge, cultural practices, and technological advancements. The Indus Valley seals have been found in Mesopotamia, a clear indicator that they were actively involved in international trade. But what does it say about the cultural connections? Could the Indus people have exchanged more than just goods? Was there an exchange of ideas and technological secrets, which might explain their advanced urban planning and craftsmanship? One of the most captivating theories about the Indus Valley civilization is its potential connection to other ancient cultures, including the Egyptians and Mesopotamians. The Indus Valley had long-distance trade routes that connected them to Sumer, modern-day Iraq. Archaeological findings suggest that the Indus Valley may have traded goods like cotton. The earliest evidence of cotton use comes from the Indus Valley, and precious stones such as lapis lazuli, which were also used by the Egyptians and Mesopotamians. This raises the possibility that the Indus Valley civilization could have had significant interactions with the ancient Egyptians, Sumerians, and even Atlantis, if we entertain the idea that Atlantis was a real advanced civilization. Could the Indus Valley civilization have been connected to the mysterious lost civilizations such as Atlantis? According to Plato's accounts, Atlantis was a highly advanced civilization with superior engineering, astronomy, and knowledge of the world. Could the Indus Valley have inherited these ideas and incorporated them into their urban designs and trade practices? What if the Indus Valley civilization was a survivor of a much earlier global catastrophe, perhaps the same cataclysm that wiped out Atlantis, which passed on the knowledge of its technologies and systems to the cultures that came after it? Perhaps the mystery of the Indus Valley civilization isn't just about what happened to them, but rather about why they disappeared so suddenly and mysteriously. Some historians have speculated that the collapse of the Indus Valley civilization could be attributed to climatic changes, such as a shift in monsoon patterns that caused the rivers to dry up, leading to the abandonment of cities. But what if the collapse was more cataclysmic than we think? Could a global flood, akin to the Noah's Ark flood myth found in cultures around the world, have submerged the Indus cities, wiping out not just their population, but also their advanced technologies and trade routes? Evidence of underwater cities off the coast of India suggests that the region was subject to catastrophic flooding around the time the Indus Valley civilization began to decline. Could these cities be the remnants of the Indus Valley, swallowed by the ocean in a series of global floods that destroyed entire coastal cities? In addition to the theories of natural disaster, there's a more intriguing possibility: that the Indus Valley civilization didn't disappear due to environmental factors, but migrated to other parts of the world. Recent studies on the genealogical records of populations in regions like India, Pakistan, and even the Middle East suggest there may be remnants of Indus Valley genes scattered throughout the world. Could this be proof that the Indus Valley civilization didn't vanish, but rather its people migrated, carrying with them their advanced technologies and cultural knowledge to distant lands, including Mesopotamia and Egypt? As if the mystery weren't deep enough, there's also evidence suggesting that the Indus Valley civilization was ahead of its time in terms of mathematics and astronomy. The geometry of their cities indicates an understanding of proportions and design principles that weren't seen again until much later in history. The way their cities were laid out, with streets running in perfect grid patterns, shows a sophistication that would be impressive even today. Moreover, the astronomical alignments in the layout of cities like Mohenjo-daro hint at a highly developed understanding of celestial movements, which raises the possibility that the Indus Valley civilization had access to advanced astronomical knowledge passed down through generations or through contact with other ancient cultures. In the end, the Indus Valley civilization is one of the greatest mysteries in human history, one that challenges our understanding of ancient societies. Was it a superpower of its time, deeply connected to global trade networks, with advanced knowledge of engineering, astronomy, and mathematics? Did it inherit knowledge from a previous civilization, or did it contribute to the development of others, like Mesopotamia, Egypt, and even Atlantis? Could the collapse of the Indus Valley civilization have been the result of a global cataclysm, or were its people forced to migrate, carrying their wisdom with them to distant lands? The more we discover, the more we realize how much of the Indus Valley's legacy still remains hidden beneath the surface, waiting for us to uncover it and piece together the remarkable story of one of history's most mysterious civilizations. The Olmec civilization, often hailed as the mother culture of Mesoamerica, holds an extraordinary place in the history of the Americas. Flourishing between 1400 BCE and 400 BCE, the Olmecs laid the foundation for many of the cultural, religious, and technological practices that would shape later Mesoamerican civilizations like the Maya, Teotihuacan, and Aztec. But despite their far-reaching influence, the Olmecs remain one of the most mysterious civilizations in the ancient world, leaving behind more questions than answers. While we know that the Olmecs were deeply involved in agriculture, urban planning, and artistic expression, their true origins, their interactions with other ancient cultures, and the full extent of their technological advancements still elude us. What makes the Olmec civilization so fascinating is the mystery behind their colossal stone heads, their sophisticated astronomical knowledge, and the potential global connections they had with cultures from distant lands. Let's start with the mysterious Olmec heads, the colossal stone sculptures that have become synonymous with their civilization. These massive stone faces, weighing several tons, are scattered throughout the Olmec heartland, most notably in San Lorenzo and Levante. Each head has distinct facial features, some of which appear to reflect African or Mediterranean characteristics, which has led to intriguing theories about contact between the Olmecs and ancient Old World civilizations. How could these massive heads have been crafted so precisely by a culture that lacked modern tools and technology? Some researchers believe that the heads were carved using rudimentary tools, such as stone hammers and chisels, and others argue that advanced knowledge of geometry and tools passed down from even older civilizations could have been at play. But the true mystery lies in the purpose of these heads. Were they representations of Olmec rulers, gods, or something else entirely? Could they represent cosmic entities, beings that were venerated in Olmec mythology? Could their distinctive features point to an even deeper mystery? Were these heads designed to commemorate individuals from distant lands, or even extraterrestrial visitors? The Olmecs were not only great sculptors, but also master astronomers. It is well known that Mesoamerican cultures, particularly the Maya, had a deep connection with the heavens. But the Olmecs were likely the first in the region to develop complex systems of astronomy. The Olmecs had a solar calendar, an advanced system for tracking the passage of time that allowed them to observe celestial events with great precision. What makes their calendar particularly fascinating is that it predates similar systems used by the Maya and Aztecs by centuries. The Olmecs' understanding of the sun and the moon, as well as their ability to track the movements of the stars, suggests that they were not just passive observers of the night sky, but active participants in the cosmic order. They used this astronomical knowledge to dictate the timing of agricultural practices, to celebrate religious festivals, and to establish social and political order. The Maya are often credited with the most advanced calendars of the ancient world, but it seems that they may have inherited this knowledge from the Olmecs, who laid the groundwork for their later achievements. The fact that the Olmecs were capable of such sophisticated astronomical observations thousands of years ago raises an important question. How did they acquire this knowledge? Could they have shared this astronomical wisdom with neighboring cultures? Or was this knowledge passed down from an even older civilization that we have yet to discover? This idea of the Olmecs having connections with older civilizations also ties into the fascinating question of pre-Columbian transoceanic contact. Many researchers believe that the Olmecs were not isolated in their knowledge, and that they might have had connections with cultures across the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. The evidence supporting these theories is far from conclusive, but the possibility remains that the Olmecs could have traded goods, ideas, and technologies with ancient civilizations in Africa, Europe, and the Near East. Could the Olmec artifacts, such as jade carvings and obsidian tools, be evidence of trade between the Olmecs and cultures like those of Mesopotamia or Egypt? The striking similarities between the Olmec heads and statues from other parts of the world, such as those from Africa, have fueled theories of transoceanic travel long before Columbus. Could it be that the Olmecs, with their advanced maritime skills, had contact with distant lands and were part of an ancient global network of trade and knowledge? This idea challenges everything we know about ancient civilizations and suggests the ancient world was far more interconnected than we thought. Adding to the mystery is the Maya civilization, which, by all accounts, took the astronomical knowledge of the Olmecs to even greater heights. The Maya calendar, famous for its precision and accuracy, was derived from the Olmec system, and the Maya had an extraordinary understanding of the movements of the stars, planets, and the sun. The Maya's long count calendar, which was capable of tracking time over millennia, was a natural progression of the Olmec system, and it's thought that the Maya inherited and refined this astronomical knowledge. The Maya and Olmecs shared not only astronomical knowledge, but also many aspects of their religious practices, including cosmic symbolism and the reverence for certain deities and natural forces. Could the Maya have inherited the Olmec understanding of cosmic cycles, including their knowledge of the solar calendar, as a way to guide their society and rituals? Did the Olmecs lay the foundation for Maya mathematics and astronomy, influencing their magnificent temples, pyramids, and observatories? Let's not forget the Teotihuacan civilization, which emerged after the Olmecs and became one of the most influential and mysterious cultures in Mesoamerica. Teotihuacan is best known for its Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon, but the influences of the Olmecs can be seen in the city's grid-like layout and sacred geometry. Teotihuacan's advanced knowledge of astronomy and its careful urban planning might have been shaped by Olmec wisdom passed down through generations. The Olmecs' mysterious connection to Teotihuacan and their shared understanding of astronomy suggests that the Olmec civilization didn't just end, but rather influenced the emergence of later cultures that would continue to build on their advancements. Could Teotihuacan and later Aztec civilization have been direct descendants of the Olmec cultural and astronomical knowledge? The question remains, who were the Olmecs really? Were they an ancient civilization that originated knowledge in the Americas and passed it to later cultures? Or were they part of a much larger global network of ancient civilizations whose wisdom has been lost to time? Could the Olmecs have had contact with far-reaching civilizations, and did they pass down their knowledge to the Maya, Aztec, and Teotihuacan? Could they be the key to unlocking not only the secrets of Mesoamerica, but also the global connections between ancient cultures long before Columbus set sail for the New World? The answers to these questions remain shrouded in mystery, but one thing is certain. The legacy of the Olmecs and their advanced astronomy, art, and global connections continues to shape the ancient history of the Americas, offering clues to a deeper, more interconnected world than we ever imagined. The concept of cataclysmic events, especially those described as great floods, has been embedded in the myths and legends of almost every ancient civilization. From Noah's Ark to the Epic of Gilgamesh, stories of global floods and world-changing disasters have been passed down through generations. These myths, while often regarded as allegories, may in fact point to actual catastrophic events that shaped the fate of ancient civilizations. Could the global flood myths be the echoes of a real, world-changing disaster passed through time as a way to preserve the collective memory of an event that nearly wiped out humanity? The more we explore, the more it becomes apparent that cataclysmic events could be the hidden key to understanding the sudden rise and mysterious fall of ancient cultures across the world. One of the most compelling scientific theories surrounding these global flood myths involves supervolcanoes. Supervolcanoes are capable of erupting with a force so massive that they can trigger planet-wide catastrophes. Imagine an event so powerful it not only destroys the surrounding area, but shatters the climate, destabilizing ecosystems, and altering the weather patterns for decades, even centuries. The eruption of a supervolcano, like the one at Yellowstone, could cause massive pyroclastic flows, burying everything in its path under layers of ash. Sulfur and other gases released would block out the sun, creating a phenomenon known as volcanic winter, causing temperatures to plummet and leading to global crop failures, famine, and widespread devastation. This eruption would also trigger massive earthquakes and tsunamis, forces of nature so overwhelming that entire civilizations would be wiped from the face of the earth. But what about the evidence? The geological record contains clues to past supervolcanic eruptions. One such event, known as the Toba supervolcano eruption, occurred around 74,000 years ago and is believed to have caused a global volcanic winter, which could have led to a drastic population bottleneck where only a fraction of the human population survived. Could the Toba eruption or similar events have triggered a catastrophic flood or mass extinction that wiped out early civilizations, leaving only myths of a world-changing flood behind? It's not just speculation. There are actual traces of massive eruptions and their impact on ancient cultures, and many ancient stories may have been based on the collective memory of these events. Another possibility is the idea of cosmic impacts, such as a comet or asteroid strike. This theory suggests that a cosmic event could have caused a global cataclysm by slamming into the Earth, triggering massive wildfires, tsunamis, and earthquakes, followed by an impact winter, where debris from the impact blocks the sun and causes global cooling. A comet striking the Earth could release an enormous amount of energy, affecting the atmosphere and weather patterns for years. It could also trigger a global flood from the impact-induced tsunamis. It is speculated that multiple civilizations, including the Indus Valley, Minoans, and possibly Atlantis, could have been destroyed by such an event. In fact, evidence of impact craters and tsunamis has been found around the world, suggesting that cosmic impacts may have been a significant driver in the collapse of ancient cultures. Let's take a look at the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, a theory proposing that a comet struck the Earth around 12,900 years ago, marking the end of the last ice age and triggering a sudden and dramatic cooling of the Earth's climate. This event could have caused a global cataclysm, including massive fires, the extinction of megafauna, and the possible collapse of ancient cultures that were dependent on stable climates. Could this sudden climate shift, tied to a cosmic impact, have contributed to the disappearance of ancient civilizations? The evidence of microscopic particles, charcoal, and iridium found at multiple sites around the world points to a massive firestorm that could have been triggered by a comet strike. The flood myths we hear in many cultures could be the echoes of this event, passed down through generations as stories of a great deluge that wiped out entire civilizations, only for survivors to rebuild their societies from the remnants of their former world. The psychological impact of these ancient cataclysmic events is profound. Global flood myths have shaped the collective memory of humanity, providing stories of disasters that seem to occur in every culture. From the biblical flood of Noah to the Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh, from the Mayan tales of their great flood to the Chinese myths of a great deluge. Could these stories be more than just cultural folklore? Could they be ancient memories of a real event that reshaped the world? The idea that ancient civilizations were not just wiped out by internal collapse or natural disasters, but by a global cataclysm tied to volcanic eruptions, cosmic impacts, or floods, forces us to reconsider everything we know about the rise and fall of human culture. The myth of a global flood could be the remnants of a truth about our collective past that we have forgotten, a truth that explains why many of the world's ancient cultures disappeared suddenly, leaving behind nothing but legends. But could these catastrophic events be the key to understanding why we've never found traces of these lost civilizations? Many researchers believe that the flooding and climate change caused by cataclysmic events would have submerged coastal cities and washed away entire populations, leaving behind no traces of their existence. Atlantis, the Indus Valley, and the Minoans are just a few examples of ancient cultures whose knowledge, cities, and monuments may have been lost to the sea or buried beneath layers of sediment during cataclysmic floods. And when civilizations are erased in such dramatic ways, the only thing left behind are the myths, the stories that have survived through time to preserve the memory of a world-shattering event. Consider the Black Sea deluge theory, which posits that about 7,500 years ago, the Black Sea, once a freshwater lake, was suddenly flooded by salt water from the Mediterranean as the Bosporus Strait broke open. This flooding could have been a cataclysmic event that not only destroyed the ancient settlements around the Black Sea, but also gave rise to flood myths across the ancient Near East. Could this flood be the event that influenced Noah's Ark, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and other cultural stories about a great deluge that wiped out humanity? The more we look at the evidence, the more it becomes clear that these cataclysmic events could be the missing piece in understanding why so many ancient cultures vanished suddenly. Was it a global flood, a supervolcanic eruption, or an asteroid impact that caused the disappearance of civilizations like Atlantis or the Indus Valley. The clues are scattered across the Earth, from the geological record to the stories that have been passed down through generations. And they point to a shocking possibility. These civilizations were not just victims of internal decline, but of massive, planet-wide disasters that reshaped the Earth and erased much of human history. Could these events explain the rise and fall of ancient civilizations? Could the sudden disappearance of cultures like the Olmecs, Minoans, Indus Valley, and Atlantis be the result of a global cataclysm that has shaped humanity's collective memory? The more we study these cataclysmic events, the more we realize they hold the key to understanding the hidden history of the world and the mysteries of civilizations long gone. The Silurian hypothesis is one of those theories that, when you first hear about it, feels like something out of science fiction, but it holds some fascinating potential that could completely rewrite what we know about human history. The idea suggests that intelligent life may have existed millions of years ago, long before Homo sapiens ever took a step on this earth. Think about it for a moment. What if there was a highly advanced civilization, possibly even more sophisticated than we are, that thrived long before the first human appeared? This civilization, though advanced, was eventually wiped out by a cataclysmic event, leaving no trace of their existence, except maybe subtle clues buried under layers of geological history. Now, how did we come up with this hypothesis? The premise of the Silurian hypothesis suggests that there could have been intelligent humanoids, or even a fully developed civilization, existing as far back as the Paleozoic era, 500 million years ago, well before dinosaurs, and certainly before humans. The idea challenges everything we know about human evolution. Some researchers have speculated that the remnants of this civilization could be hidden in fossils, geological layers, or even underground caverns buried millions of years ago, possibly due to the catastrophic events that led to the end of the Paleozoic era. These civilizations, so advanced, might have left behind evidence that's now covered in layers of rock and sediment, waiting to be discovered by future generations. The real mystery lies in the lack of evidence. If these civilizations were so advanced, why haven't we found anything substantial? If they developed technologies, tools, or cities, where did they go? Could the great cataclysm that wiped them out have been so powerful that all traces of their civilization were erased in a single apocalyptic event? Think about the possibility of a massive asteroid impact, a supervolcanic eruption, or even a global flood that could have decimated everything in its path. Such an event would have wiped out entire ecosystems, melted away ancient cities, and buried any technology that might have survived the initial shock. The destruction would have been so complete that even their very existence could have become the stuff of legend and myth. Stories told and retold by the survivors as they tried to make sense of a world completely changed. If there was an advanced civilization in the Paleozoic era, what would their technological and cultural achievements have looked like? Imagine what might have existed at the height of such a lost civilization. Could they have mastered technologies that we would consider science fiction today? Free energy, levitation, or even space travel? The ancient myths of flying chariots, gods descending from the stars, and cosmic knowledge could have their origins in such a civilization, with the people of the time passing down stories of their once great achievements. Except these weren't gods, but alien visitors or humanoid beings with knowledge far beyond what we understand today. This brings us to the possibility of a global reset. Could cataclysmic events that caused the extinction of these civilizations have left no evidence because it was so thorough? Consider the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, which posits that around 12,000 years ago, a comet struck the Earth, causing massive climate change and possibly wiping out early human cultures, along with many megafauna species. What if an earlier extinction event, one that occurred millions of years ago, wiped out a technologically advanced civilization before it could leave a lasting mark on the planet? The Silurian hypothesis suggests that just like the Younger Dryas, there might have been a massive world-altering event, like an asteroid impact or supravolcanic eruption, which erased the traces of an entire culture. Some researchers also hypothesize that human-like civilizations might have once lived beneath the Earth's surface, having developed subterranean societies in caves or underground cities, possibly to avoid the harsh environmental conditions brought on by these global cataclysms. What if our history isn't as straightforward as we believe, with periodic cycles of advanced civilizations that rise, fall, and get buried, only to be rediscovered by new, less advanced cultures? Could it be that we are simply the latest in a series of intelligent species that have risen and fallen on this planet, each leaving behind subtle clues, but never able to truly preserve the knowledge or technology they once had? Moreover, what if the fossils we find are not just from dinosaurs, but also from an intelligent species that lived before them? Fossils of creatures that could have been part of prehistoric humanoid species, but who were wiped out by the same catastrophic event that caused the extinction of other megafauna. Could ancient bones and artifacts found in strata that date back millions of years be remnants of these lost civilizations, waiting to be rediscovered? The implications of the Silurian hypothesis are profound. If an advanced civilization existed long before us, it means we're part of a much larger cycle of civilization, where great cultures rise, thrive, and disappear due to unforeseen cataclysmic events. This adds a whole new dimension to how we understand human history. Are we simply the latest blip in a much longer history of rising and falling civilizations? Could the Silurian hypothesis hold the key to understanding human origins, not as a single unbroken line of development, but as a cycle of civilizations, each trying to rise again after being wiped out by natural forces? The idea that there was an advanced civilization before ours, erased by the very forces of nature that we study today, challenges everything we know about human development. It suggests that history, instead of being a straight path of progress, might be cyclical, that the rise and fall of civilizations is part of a larger cosmic pattern that we are only now starting to unravel. Could the story of our civilization be part of a greater story of Earth itself? A story that repeats, always leaving a small fragment of knowledge to be discovered by future generations? The Silurian hypothesis opens up a whole new world of possibilities, where we're not the first to be here, and we may not be the last either. The mystery of our past may not just be a matter of digging into ancient cities or discovering lost knowledge. It may be about understanding that civilizations before us have already gone through this cycle and left behind clues that we are only now starting to see. Could this be the next chapter in human history? The discovery that we've only just started to reawaken ancient civilizations buried deep beneath the earth, waiting to reveal their secrets? Only time will tell. The alien hypothesis has sparked intense debates in both the scientific community and popular culture. The core idea is that extraterrestrial beings have had a significant impact on the course of human history, guiding ancient civilizations in ways we still don't fully understand. Many ancient cultures, from Mesopotamia to Egypt, tell stories of gods or beings from the stars descending from the heavens, bringing knowledge and technology to Earth. These gods were not only revered, but were often credited with teaching humans essential skills that would lay the foundation for civilization. The ancient Sumerians spoke of the Anunnaki, beings from another world, who bestowed the secrets of agriculture, architecture, and even writing to the people of Earth. This myth is one of the most well-known examples of alien intervention in early human history, and it raises the question, could these beings have been extraterrestrial visitors who shared advanced technology with humans at the dawn of civilization? The evidence for such an alien influence can be found in ancient texts, structures, and artifacts that seem to suggest an influence beyond what early human societies should have been capable of at the time. Take, for instance, the Great Pyramids of Giza, The precision and scale of these structures continue to puzzle archaeologists and engineers. How did the ancient Egyptians manage to move and position massive stone blocks, each weighing several tons, with such precision without modern machinery? Some theorists suggest that this could be the result of alien technology or the knowledge passed down by extraterrestrials. The fact that the pyramids are aligned so precisely with the stars, particularly Orion's belt, further deepens the mystery. Could this alignment not be a mere coincidence, but rather the result of knowledge shared by beings who understood the cosmos far better than we ever imagined? This connection between the cosmos and earthly construction is something we may still not fully understand, but the potential for alien involvement continues to be a captivating possibility. Beyond architecture, there are artifacts that also fuel this hypothesis. One of the most famous is the Antikythera Mechanism, discovered in an ancient Greek shipwreck off the coast of the island of Antikythera. This device is often described as the first analog computer, an advanced astronomical calculator dating back to around 100 BCE. The mechanism could predict the positions of celestial bodies with a level of accuracy that we didn't rediscover until the 14th century. How could an ancient civilization possess technology that only modern society could create thousands of years later? Some UFO researchers propose that the Antikythera mechanism is evidence of alien influence, suggesting that the knowledge required to build such a complex device was passed down from extraterrestrial beings. The idea that an alien knowledge transfer could explain the presence of such advanced technology in an ancient context is something worth exploring in greater depth. Could this device have been a gift from extraterrestrials, or simply the byproduct of alien knowledge shared with humans at some point in history? Further supporting this theory are other ancient artifacts that suggest a similar alien connection. The Baghdad battery, for instance, is an ancient object thought to have been used for electroplating, a process we didn't fully understand until the late 19th century. Some believe this battery could be evidence of electricity being used in the ancient world far before we would expect. Could ancient cultures have learned the secrets of electrical energy from extraterrestrial sources? And if so, where did this knowledge go after it was lost? Let's consider the role of alien gods across different civilizations. Ancient cultures like the Egyptians, Greeks, Sumerians, and Maya all seem to reference gods or visitors who came from the heavens or the stars. These beings were often described as advanced and capable of things that seem beyond human understanding, such as flight, space travel, or great wisdom. The Maya, for example, had an extremely precise calendar system and a deep understanding of astrophysics. How did they manage to create such an intricate and accurate calendar that predicted solar eclipses, planetary alignments, and the passage of time with remarkable precision? Could this knowledge have been imparted to them by alien visitors who shared their wisdom of the stars? If we accept the premise that extraterrestrial beings could have visited the Earth in ancient times, then their contributions to human development could explain many of the achievements we see in these ancient cultures. There is also a theory that ancient cultures might have used alien technology to help them construct massive structures like the Great Wall of China, the Machu Picchu in Peru, and Stonehenge in England. How did ancient societies, with their limited technology, manage to create these colossal structures that still stand today? Could it be that they had access to advanced technology that has since been lost, possibly provided by extraterrestrials? The idea that extraterrestrial beings may have provided technical knowledge for transporting massive stones, architectural precision, and energy manipulation is an exciting area of speculation. But here's the most intriguing part. What if we are the descendants of these alien-influenced civilizations? What if human evolution was accelerated by extraterrestrial intervention, allowing humanity to develop more quickly than it would have otherwise? If extraterrestrial beings influenced human history, what else did they teach us? Could we be the inheritors of alien knowledge that has been hidden or suppressed for millennia? What if the very knowledge that allowed our technological advancement came from extraterrestrial beings who visited thousands of years ago and left behind clues embedded in myths, artifacts, and ancient structures. The idea that alien visitors influenced ancient human civilizations forces us to reconsider the nature of human progress and evolution. What if the invention of writing, the discovery of fire, the creation of complex societies, and the construction of monumental buildings were all part of a larger story of extraterrestrial influence? Could alien knowledge be the missing piece that explains why some ancient civilizations seemed to advance so rapidly, while others remained in a primitive state? This theory invites us to rethink human history, not as a story of gradual, natural evolution, but as a tale in which extraterrestrial beings played a pivotal role in shaping who we are today. In the end, if alien visitors truly were part of our ancient history, it raises a crucial question. Are we still the inheritors of that knowledge? What if there are hidden technologies, secret archives, or alien relics waiting to be uncovered, offering us a glimpse into the true origin of our civilization? Could humanity's future lie in rediscovering the alien wisdom passed down through generations, waiting for us to embrace it once again? The mysteries surrounding alien influence and ancient civilizations continue to unfold, and who knows what discoveries the future might hold. As we bring this hour to a close, we've only just begun to scratch the surface of the hidden truths that lie buried beneath the sands of time. From the ancient technologies that continue to astound us, like the Antikythera Mechanism, to the mysterious civilizations that left us cryptic clues in their myths, artifacts, and architectural wonders, we've uncovered fascinating pieces of a puzzle that spans millennia. Could the alien influence theory hold the key to understanding the rapid rise of human civilization? Could cataclysmic events have wiped out entire cultures, erasing their knowledge and leaving only fragments for us to rediscover? The deeper we look, the more it seems like we're just beginning to understand how ancient civilizations were connected, how they achieved what they did, and how much more is out there, waiting to be uncovered. But these mysteries are far from over. There are even bigger secrets hiding in the folds of history, waiting to reveal themselves in the next chapter. Could humanity be on the verge of rediscovering ancient knowledge and technologies that have been lost for thousands of years? What if these hidden truths have the potential to change our understanding of humanity, technology, and the very nature of our existence? Stay tuned, because in the next episode, we'll dive even deeper into these enigmatic discoveries, exploring new mysteries that could transform the world as we know it. Don't miss it. Who knows what we'll uncover next? If you've enjoyed this journey, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can stay updated on the latest discoveries. And feel free to leave a comment below. What do you think? Could humanity be on the brink of uncovering something that could reshape everything we know? Let's keep exploring these mysteries together.